Ayun. Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of the BitPinas Webcast. I am your host, Michael Mislos. I started covering ulit. So I'm your host, Michael Mislos, and I started covering. Okay, guys, can you hear me? Alright, so ulitin natin, no? So, magandang gabi sa lahat. Ako po si Michael, ng Editor-in-Chief ng BitPinas. We started covering crypto here in the country since 2017. No, what we want to do in this webcast is to connect you with top crypto leaders here in the country. And tonight, I would like to introduce our guest, Luis Buenaventura. Ayun,
Hello.
magandang gabi. Ang dami kong sinabing magagandang bagay, wala palang nakarinig. So
Actually
ayun.
ako rin, hindi ko rin narinig. So ano, hindi mo
Kaya
na uulitin?
ay well, pwede naman. Pero yung ito yung sabi ko, no, the face of CryptoPH. He co-founded Bloom X and Cryptopop Art Guild. Binibili sa Cryptoday, Axie Archipelago, formerly the country manager of YGG Pilipinas, and recently unemployed and open for new opportunities. So, ayun lang, Luis. So,
Nice.
as an introduction, is there anything else that you think that we don't know about Luis? Any unknown facts that you can
Wow.
share?
Any other facts? Ano, I'm trying to become a plantito these days. I have a couple of plants here in the there in the this side. Actually, there's more eh. Hindi lang siya ma-cover ng camera, pero I guess as you get older and then you decide that you want to take care of things that are more tangible, kasi like yung buhay natin puro digital saka virtual and stuff like that. I was actually starting to develop a taste for like taking care of plants and pets and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of a slightly more new thing for me, I guess, these days. I don't know if I feel like people have probably know about that though, because I write about it a lot. So
Yeah, you mentioned at the last time na this is about how to combat the rise of AI. No? And but
right, yes,
but yeah, thank you so much for the introduction and things that now we know more about you being a
mhm,
plantito. So then the first
yeah,
part of our webcast is an icebreaker now. So we will show you pictures. So they may be influential
okay.
people or a picture with you. No, siguro simulan na natin. The first
Whoa,
picture
okay,
is
okay,
CZ.
so it's easy.
So
Yes, right.
any thoughts
Yep.
about Binance or CZ? Quick lang. So anything that you can share.
Like right now, yung current
Yes.
news about Binance. I mean,
No,
we
I
know
mean what?
that
Yeah. What?
another. I'm a Binance user, just like every other Filipino that is in the crypto world. We're Binance users, but I know that Binance is having a real struggle right now. There's some stuff going on in Binance, at least in the Southeast Asian region, that I can't talk about publicly, but I know that they are definitely going through some challenges right now. I think nakikita naman natin yun eh. But I think that it's going to be a very interesting next couple of months for Binance here in the Philippines for sure. So we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end of all of it.
All right. So the next picture.
Ah,
So this is a photo
so
I saw. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Luis.
Okay, so this is this is my co-authors and I. We wrote this book called The Little Bitcoin Book. This was like back in 2019. Actually, this is an interesting story kasi nagkulong kami sa isang bahay in San Francisco. Um, we had never actually spent a lot of time together before that. So all of these people flew in to San Francisco and then nagkulong kami for 7 days to write the little Bitcoin book. You can see it. I'm holding the cover in my hand in this photo. So it was kind of a record for me. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of people that could say that written a book in 7 days. But we managed to do it. I think the most well-known person in this photo is Jimmy Song, is the guy that's beside me with a cowboy hat. And then the guy on the other side is Alex Gladstein. He's the one of the co-founders of the Human Rights Foundation, and they're very very big Bitcoin supporters. So yeah, and so that's kind of how that happened. This is a nice photo. I haven't seen this one in a while.
All right. So we also have this book kasi, the Little Bitcoin book, no? And actually it was surprisingly given to me by someone na I just met, and then he gave me your book, no? Although I also have a copy. But yeah,
Oh
thank you
wow,
for that, no?
oh
Yeah,
that's pretty
and
cool. Okay,
I hope
huh.
our viewers are listening kasi 'di ba nga may trivia questions tayo, mga nasabi na yung
Yeah,
answer. So
yeah.
yeah, so now we wanted to talk muna, Luis, about your career, no, in crypto. So I'm going to have like four pictures here about different initiatives that you have done, no. So I guess the first
Okay,
picture is
yeah.
hintayin natin. So
Oh
Bloom
wow.
X.
Okay.
So you
Wait,
are the
kaninong wallet to?
this is the screenshot from the publication materials that Bloom sent. No? So
Ah,
PR
okay.
material to.
Okay.
Hindi ko to wallet, hindi mo
Kala ko
to.
wallet. Okay, all right. It's not my wallet for sure. I thought it might have been your wallet. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, so BloomX, I was one of the co-founders. We started it in 2015. We were one of the first licensees of the Bangko Central here in the Philippines. Um, but kind of a little bit more recently in 2019, we created this app, the screenshot that you have here. This is BloomX. And I remember that one of my biggest motivations for creating this app was because I was noticing that people were starting to buy and sell crypto again, like they were back in 2014 to 2015. So typically, kasi, as we all know, no, medyo seasonal kasi yung crypto well, not just in the Philippines, everywhere in the world, it's seasonal. So every 3 to 4 years, biglang magkakaroon ulit ng spike in trading and exchanging, and then people try to make businesses out of being brokers of crypto. So this whole app was meant to be for that. No, it was meant to help people exchange their crypto in the most efficient way possible. And it's kind of related to one of your previous photos because yung underlying infrastructure ng BloomX was actually Binance. It still is, as far as I know. Pero we also decided that we were gonna shut this down. So I don't think we have. You can't sign up for this anymore. So medyo ano na to, vintage na tong screenshot na to actually.
Mhm. And one of the things na yung sa Bloom X, and I think this is still one of your main philosophies na parang if you have crypto, you have to take ownership of it. Like I think Bloom
Yeah.
is only I think it is the only crypto exchange in the country na parang that is actively encouraging people to take their crypto out of
Yeah.
their ano,
Yeah. Yeah.
parang ayaw
Yeah.
iba ng customer.
Uh,
Parang ganun yung dating eh, no? Pero
Hindi naman, I guess with us, with us, it was always two things, no? Syempre naniniwala kami na ano, the main point of crypto is na hindi dapat custodial, meaning you take you take control over your own funds. That's the whole point of why crypto was even invented. The second thing also is we were trying to reduce our own risk because if you are the people who are accountable for all of your customers' funds, uh, what if something happens? What if you get hacked? What if whatever, diba? Something bad really happens. Na you obviously it's unforeseen. Obviously, it's not something you want to happen. But if it does happen, then you have a much bigger liability. Kung if you're constantly encouraging your customers to leave their funds with you. So part of our strategy was always to, we will help you guys buy or sell your crypto, but we will always encourage you to take it off of our exchange and put it into whatever, whatever you want, your ledger, your Trezor, your whatever the new hardware wallets are, things like that. Parang it was always part of our mission to teach people how to do that stuff safely.
Alright. So thank you, Luis, for that. And then the next picture is so the Cryptopop
Okay.
Art
Yep.
Guild. So Anthony, please.
Mhm. Yeah. So, this one was created kind of at the same time as when I joined YGG. So, so Cryptopop Art Guild, yung nickname niya is actually CPAG, CPAG. But it just so happened na yung word na CPAG is actually kind of one of our mottos. Hindi kasi pwedeng sinuswerte ka lang sa crypto eh. Kailangan masipag ka din. That was kind of the idea there. Uh, so this is a organization for underprivileged Filipino artists. So they come from low income backgrounds, and what we do is we help them, become NFT artists. So we teach them how NFTs work, and then we help them find projects or commissions or jobs in Web3. We I think we interviewed something like 2,000 artists back in 2021 when this started, and what we ended up we ended up accepting 200, which was, not as many as I wanted, but I guess it was okay na rin. And we still have quite a few of them with us to this day. We're still kind of helping them, helping connect them with jobs in Web3. So yung mission ng CPAG is to really help artists find work in this new exciting world, no? And if you ask me about AI art later, I'll have a lot of things to say. So, generally, I'm still a big believer that art can make the world a better place. Art made by humans. Not so sure about art made by AI.
And some of the Cryptopop Art Guild members talagang nag-thrive sila sa space, no? Like they are known na, like si Kenneth, shout out sa if you
Yeah,
are here. So
yeah.
let's we go to the next slide. Teka. So the Cryptoday Newsletter, no?
Okay.
Na
Right.
it,
Yeah.
it started na parang ano no, parang 3 days a week, and then every Saturday,
I
and
mean,
then almost
it was called Crypto Day. It was called Crypto Day because I wanted to do it every day. And wow, that was really unrealistic. I thought that I would have somehow have enough time to write one article every day about what was going on in the crypto world. But bear in mind na when I started Crypto Day kasi ano to early 2021 eh. So literally every day there was news, there was something going on that deserved to be talked about. Ano yun height ng bull market yun eh. So in a way, even if I was writing nearly every day back then, hindi ko siya mahabol. Like there was so much to talk about. These days, because we're kind of in a bear market, kind of in a winter, crypto winter season, the news is a little bit further apart. So there's a little bit more time for me to think about it, and like what do I actually want to talk about this week. So you can choose. No, I don't know if the experience for you guys in Bitpinas is the same. No, na parang these days you have a little bit more time to kind of think about what you want to write about because it's not as busy as it used to be. So these days, I think you were Mike. You were one of the first people that called me out nga na parang tatlong linggo na since the last crypto day. Um, yeah, there was I was definitely very busy in the last month kasi, but I think I can probably start writing more regularly again now because well, I have time. So I have a little bit more time and I can kind of focus on this stuff. I like that your screenshots are from 2021 though. These are like the early days of Crypto Day. That's cool.
Yeah, that yung isa diyan yung OMB, kaso baka mamaya remember the OMB problem? Kaso
Yeah,
baka
yeah,
mamaya
yeah.
ma-block yung screenshot. So
Oh,
so yeah, then and
oh
then
my
the next
god.
slide,
Ah,
ano po?
nice. Okay.
Yeah, the Axie
Yeah.
Archipelago.
So this was ano, this was the same time then. So ano yun eh, this all happened between September and October in 2021. So I did three things simultaneously. I joined YGG Philippines as the country manager. I started the Cryptopop Art Guild and then I launched Axie Archipelago. So the idea with Axie Archipelago was we wanted to map where in the Philippines all of the different guilds were that were playing Axie Infinity. And, we thought that it was an amazing phenomenon that there were all of these different groups all over the country. And I think the screenshot, so your screenshot here says that we had 528 guilds mapped all across the country. I actually am pretty sure there was more than just that there because we had so many people submitting their information to us. And like you and I and the other Axie Archipelago team members, we were going through each one isa-isa, 'di ba? Tapos chine-check natin kung totoong, organization ba 'to, totoong guild ba 'to, and all of that stuff. Um, so this project, it was kind of it's very informal, no? We put it together over maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And then a few months after that, Sky Mavis actually bought it from us. Not for a huge amount naman, but they wanted to support the community. So binili nila yung Axie Archipelago na concept from us. And then so currently I don't actually own Axie Archipelago. It's actually a property of Sky Mavis right now. But I do hope they eventually do something again with it. I guess medyo nag-iba na rin yung focus nila currently, but like I think that the idea that you want to map out where all of the different guilds are that are interested in Axie Infinity and Lunacia, I guess. I think that's kind of that was always kind of a really interesting idea.
Thank you, Luis. No, and yeah, also hopefully the archipelago project gets revived no, at some point, so they can
Yeah.
shout
Yeah.
out sa Sky Maybes and to Pictures Labs who's sponsoring the prizes for today. Will also develop the website. So
Yes.
our
Yes, yes. Thank you so much to BitShares. Yeah.
our next slide is, so I'm not sure if you
Ah,
remember, but this is one of my favorite
yeah.
pictures from the YGG Facebook pages. So this is about the
Yeah.
typhoon. No? So I guess
Yeah.
this is the YGG part of this
Yes. Yeah.
webcast. No? So how was your experience learning YGG in the
Yeah.
Philippines? And follow
Yeah.
up,
Okay.
why did you leave?
Okay, all right. So again, let me talk about this photo first because this photo is actually very sentimental to me, um So we started YGG Philippines in September of 2021. And it was smooth sailing for the first couple of months, no? So December, we had a Christmas party, Mike was there, BitPinas was there. We had fun. And then we were all supposed to take a break during the Christmas week, no? So in that final week of the year. And then uh I guess it must have been Thursday night, no, nung December 17th. That was when Typhoon Odette hit. So all of these reports were coming in from all of our community members, people that we considered were like family to us. No, they were hit really hard by this typhoon. So the next morning, I messaged Gabby and I said, "Hey, let's start a fundraiser for the Typhoon Odette, the people who were affected by Typhoon Odette." Um, so he said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it. Open up a wallet and then we'll retweet, we'll get the word out." So I registered the YGGPH na ENS domain. So it's yggph.eth. And then so we were ready in literally 10 minutes. And then I said, Gabby, okay, I'm gonna post it na. And then he retweeted it. And then everyone that I knew in the Web3 space retweeted it. And by the end of our fundraising period, siguro mga 2 weeks ata yun eh, we had raised something like $1.4 million in crypto. And I remember talking to someone from ABS-CBN Foundation a few weeks after that, and we were just talking about the amounts of money that had been raised for Odette, no? And the ABS guy told me that parang halos magkapareho lang daw yung na-raise na pera ng YGG as ABS-CBN Foundation. And ABS-CBN Foundation is an actual TV network. So yung reach nila, you would think, is actually quite large, no? But I guess the advantage of YGG was that every single person uh, that was interested in helping out, there was no friction in the way that they could make their donation. Like literally the founders of Axie Infinity, like individually they were sending us money. It would literally take them 10 seconds, right? They just type in the amount that they want to send us, and that's it, and we get it instantly. So the kind of cognitive load of, like, if you're in a normal kind of fundraising situation, because generally the problem is like, okay, so I want to give my money, how do I do it, right? And remember that we are a Philippine organization. A lot of our donors are from overseas. Crypto eliminates a lot of that friction. So I was absorbing yung wallet that I created, yung YGGPH.eth na wallet. I was absorbing all of these different altcoins that I'd never heard of before. So actually, there was a couple of days where I was like, just I wasn't even working on the fundraiser itself. I was researching how to convert these altcoins. These are altcoins that I'd never heard of before. And there were sadly some small donations from altcoins na wala na ngayon, or medyo nag-die down, hindi na namin magamit kasi sobrang baba na ng value niya, mas mahal pa yung gas to do the conversion. No? But anyway, in general, it was very, very successful. We were, I think YGG Philippines at the time was 10 people. Might have been even less than that, actually. So we were kind of running a $1.4 million donor organization with less than 10 people. None of us had any background in working in emergency rescue in relief efforts or anything like that. So it was like a trial by fire for us to kind of put all of this stuff together. And I remember that we made contacts in people like the Philippine Navy and the Army and stuff like that, because they were the people who could actually bring the deliveries of relief goods to the affected provinces, because they had the ships and the boats, no, or the helicopters, I guess. So we were making contacts in places that I was never really expecting, no. So yeah, so I learned about kind of yung army relief effort, and then at the same time bumibili kami ng canned goods by the crate, from people like Century Tuna and stuff like that. It was just very, very interesting couple of weeks. I think because the money was so large, it took us parang patapos na yung January before we were able to kind of give it all out. And it was a real challenge because um the problem really with having $1.4 million in crypto is how do you actually exchange that into pesos without getting hit by all sorts of interesting AMLA issues. But we were very lucky because the new Union Bank people were very supportive of what we were doing. So they actually helped us kind of smoothen that process out so that all of the funds that we were converting and then distributing, it was all very smooth. Like there was never a moment that I got frozen. Like I come from the crypto exchange world, no. So anytime that there is a large amount of crypto getting turned into pesos, like I already kind of there's a parang I have this instinctive reaction that parang I get kind of anxious because I think that, oh shit, our account is gonna get frozen or whatever. But that never happened because we identified very early on that all of this stuff was donations. It was meant for relief efforts, all of that stuff. It was great. It was a really amazing experience to kind of na yun yung the first big project of YGGPH was literally community outreach, and it was completely unplanned. It just happened, right? And the team somehow made it work, even though none of us none of us joined YGGPH because we thought we were going to join relief efforts. That wasn't the thing we were expecting. But I guess that kind of says a lot about passionate people who believe in what they're doing. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the work is, as long as you know that you're helping people. That's all that matters to you. So I guess that kind of dovetails into maybe where I am right now. No, I think YGGPH has always, for me, stood for community support. Parang that was kind of the reason why I joined YGG and all of that stuff. That part hasn't changed. We are still very much YGG Philippines is still very much a community oriented organization. What has changed for me is that um, I have come to accept that the community outreach is only one component of what YGD Philippines needs. There's an entire other component where we need to be good at marketing. We need to be good at at PR, right? So marketing and PR. We need to be good at events. Um, I think you've been to at least one of our big events in the past, and we're gonna have a couple more, in the coming years. So uh, all of those other components, events, wala na siya dun sa wheelhouse ko eh. Like yung my area of expertise is not that. And there are definitely better people for that. There are definitely people who have created careers from, doing things like that. About siguro maybe a little over a month ago, 5 or 6 weeks ago, Gabby, the founder of YUG, his wife Mensch, and I, we all got together. We were just kind of talking about kind of what is needed for the leader of YGPH moving forward. And you know, I think that I guess I'm okay with admitting that I'm not the right person for the task ahead. Um, there's it would be very much a mistake kasi to just say that, hey, uh, I was the guy who got this off the ground, like I started the YGGPH operations, then I should be able to kind of keep doing it forever, right? That's a very vain way to think about yourself. I think as the needs of the organization change, you will either still be the right person for it or you will not. And the thing is, if you are not, then the correct thing for you to do is you step aside. Um, and I guess that's kind of where we ended up. No, we acknowledgement that YGGPH was slightly different in its focus areas before. Now we know that it needs to be good at a lot of other things, and unfortunately, those other things are not things I'm good at. So yeah, it became kind of this very friendly. I guess it was like, if you're all mature adults, hindi naman malaking bagay yun eh. It's more like, okay, it was a good fit back then. It's not a good fit right now. The correct thing to do is for me to just step aside and let someone else who has more expertise in this area take over. Because I would be hurting the community if I stuck around. Or sige, maybe not hurting the community. That feels very negative naman, no? More like I just wouldn't be doing a good job. It's just not my thing. So I think that I'm confident enough in my abilities to say that I know what things I'm good at. Um, but those things are not the things I'm good at. You know what I mean? So yun lang, wag mo na pilitin, 'di ba? In other words, that's basically it. Wag mo pilitin if it's not for you. And I think that it also occurred to me that in a few months, I'm going to be celebrating my 10th year in the crypto industry. I have never taken a break. I've never taken a vacation. I guess your longest vacation was like 3 days. I've never taken like a lengthy vacation. I've always gone from one crypto startup directly into another. Na halos there was no gap. It was like literally the day that I left, the next day after that, I was in the new job. So I've done that with from SCI to Bloom, and then from Bloom to YGG. So hopefully this time I'll actually take a break that's longer than 3 days. Well, mostly, I actually am sure that I will take a break the rest of the 3 days because I don't have anything else. I When we made the decision that it was time for me to step back, we decided that it needed to be a little bit soon because maraming mahaba yung calendar and roadmap ng YGGPH. The longer that I stuck around, the more likely it is that things will slow down because it's not my ano nga eh, it's not my area of expertise, 'di ba? So it's better to just kind of move away from it na so someone else can step in and do the right thing for the organization and for the community. So I guess it's kind of that's where we ended up with all of that.
See. Well, Luis, thank you for those very candid answers. No? Simula, well, from here to YG and even going back. And
Yeah.
thank you also for telling what happened to Axie Archipelago, for example, things that people don't know about. And then this one. So Luis,
Yeah.
you led Philippine crypto organizations at different points in time. Sometimes at the peak of the bull market, and we just probably got out of the bear market. No? So you led even YG, diba? The bull market, and now we're getting out of the bear market. And you also did that also in the past. No? So you lead companies
Yeah.
in those different market cycles. No? And if there is
Yep.
one industry that's very brutal when it comes sa mga bear markets, really the crypto companies, no? Literally, companies go down. No? And I
Yeah.
guess my question here is, how did how in your own words, how do you think YGG survived this when many other companies nakasabayan niya has gone? And
Yeah.
follow up then, how can, I guess, to all our entrepreneurs who are also listening, no, mga entrepreneurs, how can crypto startups survive bear markets? Go up on
Mm,
in your words.
yeah. Wow. So it's a difficult question, and the answer is not wonderful. The thing about crypto companies that fail during winter or during bear markets, typically it happens because they're spending too much money and they aren't strong enough to discipline themselves and put a stop to the spending that is happening. No? And the thing is that so this has happened to me a few times na kasi, eh, so I kind of recognize the pattern. Um, so through Bloom and then through YGG, it's happened to me a few times. YGG is also kind of like we have a few people there, like Colin Goltra from who is ex Binance, ex Coins PH. He's our COO. So he's also gone through a lot of these winters himself. So when we recognize that, okay, ito na. This is it's winter. We need to be very very conservative. Sorry, can you hear my dogs barking? Um, Anyway, so we need to be very conservative. What does that mean? We need to be willing to do painful things like maybe downsizing the staff, downsizing the team, maybe letting go of projects that we were, really, really excited about. But we can't do it anymore because we don't have we want to stretch out our capital. So masakit yung mga decisions na yun eh. Kasi like sometimes, I'll give you a very specific example, but I'm not gonna tell you what the project was. There was a project that we had been planning for about 6 months, and like we were very, very excited about it. So this is in YGG na, no? Um, we had actually already poured at least $20,000 into this project, consultation fees and all sorts of other stuff. But in order to complete this project, it was going to be another $100,000, right? So we knew that this project was not going to survive the winter because there was just too much capital that we needed to pour into this thing in order for it to work. So we had to make a decision na, sige, okay lang. So manunugit tayo, right? We have to accept the fact that we will lose all of the funds that we have already put in there, but it will save us from spending even more. So it's kind of like that classic sunk cost fallacy where, you should never make yourself think that just because may napasok ka na pera, parang you have to keep putting money into it para mas-save yung project. It's actually better for you to just, admit na wala na eh, it doesn't work anymore. It's the wrong context. The circumstances have changed. The weather has changed. It's now winter time. So we had to make a whole bunch of painful decisions like that. And I think that that is basically the recipe for surviving crypto winter. Um, when you can see that your money is of a certain amount and it's unlikely that you are going to be able to raise more money anytime soon, you have to take the painful decision and just cut all sorts of things, um, even though these were things that maybe you really loved. So for us, we had to kind of downsize, and then we had to, cut a lot of our ideas and projects that we were very excited about. I'm sure that for many other crypto companies out there, they have similar experiences. And I think that the ones who can do it fastest, the ones who can react to the change in temperature, the ones who can immediately decide na, okay, ito na yun, we gotta make the painful decisions now. They're the ones that survive because you have to you do it fast. You can't like wait until the last possible moment before you start like cutting a lot of these costs. You're not going to what you need to do is make sure that the company itself survives. Um, and yeah, uh, I sometimes I think about like my best decisions as a founder or as a country manager or whatever. And I often think that the best decisions I ever made were the ones where I had to kill a project or fire someone or cut spending on something. Parang, and that sounds weird, no, to hear someone say that, but it's usually the difficult decisions that really define a good leader. It's not the easy ones where, like, yeah, we're gonna spend, $10 million to rebrand a stadium with our brand name on it. Like, it's whatever. That it's kind of that's just vanity. It's really the ones where that you could very likely hurt the feelings of the people that you have to let go of. You're going to possibly offend the suppliers that you had lined up for this project that you were going to work on with them. Yung parang being able to take all of that negativity, internalize it, and still make the right call. That takes a lot more to do properly and to do it over and over again, no? Because like the bear market hasn't ended yet. We're like, what is it now? We're 18 months into the crypto winter this cycle. It hasn't ended yet. So I imagine that if I were, kind of still in the YGGPH country manager position, there would still be many of those decisions to make later on. Uh, and I guess ano I feel like a lot of entrepreneurship is being able to make the difficult choice, and be okay with it, even though yeah, you're very likely you are going to hurt some people's feelings because of it. That's yeah, it sounds weird to say that, no? Pero ano nga I feel like entrepreneurship, just business in general, is like
Wow, no, I hope the entrepreneurs and all our listeners are able to get some nuggets from Luis, no, on that. No? I understand din yung sinabi mo na sa sunk cost fallacy, no, like you are doing this particular project and then iniisip mo na parang sayang eh, di ba? Parang if you're
mm,
doing this
right.
and bigla mo ikakat,
Mhm.
parang sayang lahat ng investment mo kumbaga. No? But well, yun nga, the bear market is really brutal. No? On my end, this is the second bear market and really brutal din talaga siya. So, I have this one question from Ricky. This is supposed to be one of our last questions for today. No? Siguro para ilagay na lang din natin. Sabi niya, will you be in the crypto space forever? So, you mentioned na parang magbabakasyon ka muna, di ba? Pero, will you be, are you going back? I mean, you're still going to be in crypto, right?
I don't think I could leave the crypto industry. So okay. So supposedly this week I was supposed to take this week off now, but like here we are. We're doing a live stream. We're talking about crypto. And I'll tell you. Okay, so tomorrow I'm actually publishing an article, a Crypto Day article. I don't want to spoil it too much, no. But a couple of nights ago, may lumapit kasi sa akin na isang college dito sa Pilipinas na na-hack kasi sila. So na-hack sila and then ni-ransom yung database nila. The hacker was asking for Bitcoin. So they came to me and they were asking for my advice about it. Anyway, so I want to write about this particular incident. Obviously, I'm gonna hide the names of the people involved, but um, I'm still very actively trying to find ways that I can contribute. Um, so helping people who have been hacked, helping people who have been scammed, writing about the crypto projects that I believe in. I think that that's always going to be part of the stuff that I want to do. You know what? The reason why I don't think I'm ever going to leave crypto is because I really don't like the alternatives. Like the idea that without crypto, what do we've got? We've got savings banks
Nothing
and
like
inflation.
this.
That's basically it. It's annoying. I don't like I really, really don't like the alternatives. So for as long as traditional money exists, I think I'll probably still be in crypto because I need to help people find alternatives to this stuff. Um, and that's more of that's kind of an internal thing na hindi ko matanggap na that this is all we have. Like as Filipinos, we can only access the Philippine peso. That's freaking ridiculous, right? It shouldn't be that way. So for as long as crypto itself is not mainstream, then I'll stay. I'll stay in the space and I'll continue doing what I'm doing. Um, I'm feeling, by the way, that it's going to be a very long time before it's going to be mainstream. So I'm going to see a little bit more of me. Years at least.
Alright, narinig na po natin ang sagot na ni Luis Buenaventura. Now it's time for our first trivia Q&A. No? So, maraming salamat, Luis. Ibababa muna kita. Ayan, ibaba na. And hopefully lahat ay nakinig sa ating discussion with Luis kasi yung mga questions will be based on ang mga napag-usapan. No? So, this is the trivia portion of the BitPinas Webcast. You will win, we have 600,000 Satoshis to be given away in tonight's webcast courtesy of BitShares Labs. So, BitShares Labs help businesses establish their digital presence. No? BitSharesLab.com, makikita nyo sa ticker sa baba. So we have two questions for this segment. Answer this first question correctly and win 100,000 satoshis. Kayo na mag-convert, no? So the winner will be announced after the webcast. So para maiwasan natin yung medyo sa comment section, no? So again, it will be announced after the live stream. And to qualify, you must have a sharer badge and must be following the Facebook account of BitPinas. No, so yung nakaraan kasi madaming mga sumagot but not everyone was able to follow the instructions. So you must have a sharer badge and you must be following the BitPinas Facebook account. Okay? So question number 1. Name at least one of the two books written by Luis Buenaventura. So name at least one of the two books written by Luis Buenaventura. So Luis actually wrote two books. No? One of the books was discussed earlier, which was published in 2019, about use cases of Bitcoin and FAQs about cryptocurrencies. And then there's also another book published in 2017 at the time when Luis was leading Bloom X. So it's about remittances and Bitcoin. So once again, don't forget to share the stream and follow BitPinas to qualify for the prizes. No? You cannot win if you do not follow the instructions. No? Must have a sharer badge, must be following the page. So going once, name at least one of the two books written by Luis Buenaventura. Going twice. Now for question number 2. Answer the question correctly and win 100,000 satoshis. Question number 2. What is the name of the guild founded by Luis for underprivileged artists? Again, what is the name of the guild founded by Luis for underprivileged artists? So this was around 2021 when many people are creating guilds. Some are purely for games or some are for competitive gameplay. No? But Luis created this guild naman for artists, and many of them now are really thriving in the Web3. So, what is the name of the guild founded by Luis for underprivileged artists? Going once and going twice. That ends our Q&A segment right now. Once again, thank you to Beachers who supported our webcast prices. You are watching the BitPinas Webcast, and thank you so much for staying. No? And we have here Luis Buenaventura. Ayun. So, welcome back. And ito na yung part natin since we are already talking about hacking and scams. So, you mentioned in your Facebook post upon leaving the YGGs that you wanted to continue protecting the unsuspecting. And as mentioned, you are considered the top crypto top leader here in the country. You've been around for so long. As you mentioned, magda 10 years na. And you've seen scams here and there along the way. No?
Okay,
And what
a
I
few scams.
abusing. So, but what I noticed, no, and in the past you mentioned this, na you mainly in the past, like before you were before I mean before you Bloom, etc. You said you are mainly observing from the sidelines. So kahit may news about scams or may nag-aaway ganyan, you typically do not bother, no? Parang sige, okay dyan, may scam. So what is different this time around, and what drove you to focus your time more into protecting against crypto scams? What drove you to shall I say, call them out, na parang be braver to call them out, unlike before.
I guess it was a couple of different things, no? So firstly, I was getting older. I think yung biggest difference naman dyan is na when you're a little bit younger, both in terms of age and the amount of time that you've spent in the industry, um, syempre parang medyo nahihiya ka pa eh, or you're slightly more hesitant with imposing your opinion on others. Sometimes it's not even imposing your opinion, just sharing your opinion. Um, I guess I was always brought up to you know think about what you are saying first before you go out and say it, because your words are powerful. You could hurt someone, you could really anger someone or offend someone or whatever. So you have to be careful. And I think that's still the correct choice naman in general. I think as people we should probably be considerate of others' feelings. Um I guess what I learned over many years of being in this industry is that there is a bigger reason to call out what we call them bad actors, no? So these are the people who are scammers, rug pullers, criminals, hackers, things like that. There is a bigger reason to call them out, and one of those reasons is that there's not enough people in the Philippines who do that. I think that we have a lot of influencers in the crypto world here, but they don't really spend a lot of time calling out scams. I think very unfortunately, some of them actually spend more time promoting the scams. Um, Maybe not because they're malicious, but maybe because they don't completely understand crypto itself. And so I guess where I'm at with this is that I'm a little bit more willing to offend people now. Um, because I'm doing it, at least in my heart, I know that I'm doing it because I'm trying to fight a lot of the misinformation that's out there, a lot of the scams that are out there, all of those things, no? And I have to keep reminding myself though that just because I think something is a scam doesn't necessarily mean that people agree with me. So I have to, hold myself to this. I don't know if it's a journalistic standard, Mike, but like I guess yung the idea na like at least provide evidence. No, you can't just say something is a scam. You actually have to provide some evidence that this thing is actually sketchy, right? And what are those things? So I don't know. There's something wrong with their smart contract. They didn't renounce ownership. The contract developer owns 50% of the token supply. All of those things. That you These are technical reasons that will point towards this thing likely becoming a scam. So I think it's very important to me that I don't just tell people, hey, you know what, this looks like a scam to me. I have to have some reasons, and I have to be able to list them down. If I can't explain it clearly, then I have no business saying stuff to people because I feel like ano to eh, sakit ng Twitter to eh na, or I guess X now, no, because it's not Twitter anymore. Na ano, parang we as a generation, all we want to do is get the headline, but no one wants to read the reasoning anymore. But in my case, I want to be able to provide the reasoning. It's not enough for me to just say, this project scam, this project not scam. I have to be able to explain why. Um, and I try to be as precise as I can possibly be. Sometimes it's outside of my area of expertise, so I have to kind of talk to other blockchain developers to kind of explain some of the details to me. But I can at least promise everyone that if I were to ever go out and call something a scam, I'll have a whole bunch of reasons that I will list down. I'm not just gonna say, hey, that's a scam. Like I don't think that's acceptable. Or I should say that there are enough people who can do that. Um, and I would like that the information that I provide has more details than that because at some point you gotta check that, eh, 'di ba? So I would like it if like at some point, no, I will actually call something a scam. I'll list down all of my reasons, and then someone will respond and then tell me why those reasons are wrong. That would be really interesting. I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but like I hope that we get to the point where we can have an open discussion like that, where yeah, if bro just told me out. Because I think that ano naman eh, the thing that I really like about crypto is that it's very easy if you understand everything to the technical level. It's quite easy to prove who is right and wrong. So yeah, I really hope that that's kind of where we end up. Now we're not too sensitive about receiving criticism from others.
But was there any time when you feel like, I mean, in the past, was there any time where you feel like you could have at least warned people more about a particular scam? Like you could have warned the community more, and you did not. So I think you were,
Um,
yeah, sure.
yeah. Yeah, ano, there was one time that I remember very distinctly. So this was Uh, God, I guess 2019 must have been 2019. So during the Bloomcast, so back then every Tuesday night, I would host a live stream kind of like this. We talk about the news of the week. We'd have some guests. We'd interview them, and then we'd have some prizes. It's actually quite similar to the BitPinas format, no? So this is great. I actually really enjoy being here because naalala ko na like it feels like deja vu na ano parang I can talk about crypto again. So there was one Bloomcast episode where I interviewed um he wasn't really a representative. He was just one of the influencers who was pushing a very interesting project called Forsage. Most people won't remember this anymore, but it was basically what it was the first decentralized Ponzi scheme. Um, and so I talked to him on the show, and he tried to explain it to me. Um, and I guess my big regret was I asked questions. I asked questions. I was polite. But my big regret was that at the end of the episode, I did not say what I knew was true in my heart, which was that this was a Ponzi scheme. I should have gone out and said it. So instead, natapos yung episode and it felt like hindi conclusive. Na is it a Ponzi? Is it legit? Like it felt like neither of those things were true. And I think that on the benefit of hindsight, we know that Forsage was 100% a Ponzi, uh, because people lost money from it. No? Um, and I kind of regret not being more confident in the opinion. I guess at the time also, not that I'm making excuses, no, pero ano rin eh, I guess I was afraid of offending the guest that I really should not have been. Because I should not have understand that I'm sorry, but I think this thing is a Ponzi scheme, and I think that you're wrong. I guess I should have just been brave enough to say that. So, I can't commit that I'll be able to be more confident in every conversation that I have, but I think that I think I'll probably listen to that inner voice a little bit more these days, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And siguro, just to close this up, no, if you, for our listeners, to the people who are watching the webcast, what do you think is the surefire way to know if somebody, so this is not about thinking that a project is a scam, no? So this is
Mm.
more about if somebody is trying to scam you, is there like a very common red flag? So if you feel na parang, or do you feel the scammers are actually getting meticulous now? Na parang
Hmm.
you will really not know that they are
Hmm.
scamming you.
Um, Gosh, okay. So I don't think there's a surefire way. But what I will I guess so there's two things kasi that govern our decisions to make an investment or not. No, it's typically two things. It's either fear or greed. So fear that I'll lose money, greed that I will lose out on the opportunity to make money, right? So it's those two things. Um I think what you need to kind of do is you ask yourself, like, alin dito yung umiibabaw? Like, which one is the one that is kind of really affecting this decision? Um, and generally speaking, if fear is the one, fear of losing money, if that's the one that is kind of stopping you, you should listen to it. because, because I feel like there's a lot of people na madali madala when someone says, it's like, God, everyone has heard this story, right? I had this friend who made 100 times his investment with this altcoin. He got in early. He was in the right Telegram group, right? Everyone has heard that story before. And everyone, when they hear that story, what pumps? The greed part, right? It's always the greed part. Um, and then parang the fear part of the decision kind of becomes suppressed because we're kind of thinking, no, I can't afford to miss out on these opportunities. I gotta figure out how to make that 100x happen. 1000x pa nga sometimes, eh, di ba? The thing is, everyone knows of a guy who made 100x on something, but no one ever talks about the 999 other guys that lost most of their money trying to chase that one guy. Mas malaki yung number of people that have lost money on these kind of 100x multiplier chases. There's way more people. There was a very interesting statistic, and I've forgotten if it was Chainalysis or some other some one of those other labs. No, they were saying that about 96% of people have lost money on NFTs, meaning that the people who have invested in NFTs, the vast majority of them lost money on NFTs. Although the sales pitch of NFTs is that you buy low, sell high. If you get in early, if you get on the white list, you'll 10x your money, all of that stuff. The vast majority of people, not even 90%, it's 96% of people have lost money on NFTs. The people who have tried to actually get into it. So sobrang konti lang ng mga tao na talagang kumita from it. And unfortunately, those 4% of people, they have the greatest stories, right? I mean, itong si ganyan, mayaman na siya ngayon eh. Kasi bumili siya ng, I don't know, whatever, punks or ng apes back when, it was only like point 0.1 ETH or whatever the story is, right? Um, Everyone repeats stories like that, but the stories themselves are not replicable for the vast majority of people. The odds are against you, so you kind of have to bear that in mind. So I'm a really boring crypto investor in the sense that whenever someone asks me, "Hey, what should I invest in right now? What's a good investment?" I would just say Bitcoin. I say Bitcoin or Ethereum. That's kind of it. And people are always so dissatisfied with those answers because it makes them think na parang mataas na yung Bitcoin. It's like $30,000. Like what kind of gains can I still make from that? Well, the thing that you should be thinking of is not the gains that you can or cannot make. What you should be thinking of is the money that you won't lose. So um, with Bitcoin, at least we kind of know what the variance is. And we've got about 14 years, na pala, 14 years worth of history to tell us that Bitcoin is most likely not going to go away. Whereas every other altcoin that you are excited about, I'm gonna I'm gonna call out Say because people won't shut up about Say today because like 300% yung growth niya in the last 24 hours or something. Every single altcoin that you are excited about right now does not even have like 10% of the time in market that Bitcoin has. So like, I mean, what are we really thinking about here? Well, quick gains, easy money. Yeah, I 300%ed my investment from last night. Okay, great. Sige, good for you. I'm very happy for you. But how many times are you going to be able to replicate that? The vast majority of people cannot. So I guess that's kind of, yeah, that's where I'm at there. I think that with a lot of trading groups, the advice that they give to each other is you have to protect your stack. It's about protecting your capital. It's not about growing it necessarily. You don't have to think about 1000x gains. Think about how you protect the money that you have first. And that's why I always say Bitcoin or Ethereum because those at least we know that they have staying power. Every other coin, especially like even the top 50 coins, like look at 50 coins from now and compare it to what it was 5 years ago. Almost none of those top 50 coins were there. So wala, it changes over so often. So
One of the things nga that I remember you mentioning was that itong sa about sa ano no, sa about crypto and making money is that no amount of paid marketing is more powerful than the sight of your friends or the people that you know or people in Facebook
yeah,
na nakikita mo who is making money.
yeah.
And yung iba pa nga, parang I saw a Facebook page last time, parang bulto-bultong 1,000 pesos na may Philippine Eagle yung pinapakita eh. So, closing the scam
Yeah, yeah.
portion dito, Luis, no?
Mhm.
So, what are your immediate plans on this front, no? And how are you going to continue to protect the unsuspecting? Very quick lang. Your immediate plans dito
Uh,
sa ano.
well, okay. So the first thing is I'm gonna have a hell of a lot more free time. So all of those people who so I'm gonna apologize. I'll do a blanket apology right now. No, every time someone messages me on Facebook Messenger asking me about like do you think this coin is a scam? Do you think this project is a scam? Whatever. For some reason napupunta siya dun sa spam box ko sa Facebook Messenger. So I don't see it, no, and I have to keep reminding myself to go into the spam box every few days to check if there are messages there. And I just checked right now, and there's like 15 messages from different people that I haven't been able to reply yet. Um, I'm gonna try to be more regular about checking these things, and I really do want to spend as much of my free time as possible just answering questions. Um, and I'll set up the stage very truthfully. There are many questions that you guys are gonna have that I don't know the correct answers to, but I will tell you if I don't know the answer to it, or I will tell you if I had to do the research on this in order to kind of give you even some small response. I'll at least do the homework, no, because like I don't want to be that guy who just kind of rips off answers even though he doesn't actually know what he's talking about. I think that again, we have way too many of those people in the industry already. So kung mabagal ako sumagot, it probably means it's because I'm reading the white paper or something like that. I don't know, man. There's so many interesting projects out there. And then there's so many scammy ones. But I'll at least spend the time to kind of give you an opinion whether it's a scammy one or a legit one. And I'll spend the time doing the research. So if you guys have questions, like just dropping comments in any of my posts on Facebook is probably the easiest way to get my attention. Kasi yun nga, yung spam inbox ko sa Facebook Messenger, I have to go to it in order to see the messages even come out because there's no notifications. So yeah, leave a comment. I'll try to answer it as best as I can. That's it. And I'll continue doing this for as long as I can.
All right, maraming salamat, Luis. And I like what you mentioned about reading the white paper. And I don't think a lot of people is doing that Ano no, I'm not sure why, pero good point also to mention to our listeners, to our
Yeah.
watchers, yun nga, reading the white paper. So we are now going to the second trivia Q&A portion of this webcast. Again, maraming salamat sa mga nanonood. So bababa muna natin si Luis, and ayun, maligtad. So, ito yung second trivia Q&A natin. We have two questions for this segment. You answer the question correctly and win 100,000 satoshis. Kayo na mag-convert, no? The winners will be announced after the webcast. So again, you must have a sharer badge and must be following the BitPinas Facebook account. Once again, thank you to BitShares Labs, bitshareslabs.com or facebook.com/BitShares Labs for the prizes. No? So, are you ready? Question number 3. What is the name of the crypto exchange co-founded by Luis? So, this has been mentioned multiple times in our stream. What is the name of the crypto exchange co-founded or where Luis is a co-founder? Okay? Do not forget Facebook, follow, and share. Okay? What is the name of the crypto exchange co-founded or with Luis as a co-founder? Going once, going twice. Question number 4. 100,000 satoshis for this question. Question number 4. What is the name of the newsletter that Luis sends out almost every week over the past 2 years? So we mentioned this also during the stream. What is the name of the newsletter that Luis sends out over the past 2 years, which he mentioned he will be sending more out in the coming months, in the coming days. No, it is home to popular content about crypto in the country, as well as controversial take on banking, and most especially developments about these companies and the general crypto PH industry. So going once, going twice. What is the name of the newsletter that Luis sends out almost every week? So going once, going twice, and that ends our Q&A segment. If you are not able to answer or if you are not able to win, remember that we still have like 200,000 satoshis to be given away to participants in the comment section. No? So basta mag-comment lang kayo, you actively participate, and if there are questions there na parang you think you can answer, just comment na rin na para makatulong din, para kasi hindi namin makita dito sa BitPinas section. And now, ito na yung third part ng ating webcast wherein we were going to ask Luis about his insights naman on the general things about crypto here in the country, as well as answer the questions that you may have. So let's bring back Luis on stage. So ayun, so hopefully, Luis, you have been, I hope this has been an interesting thing to you and also to our watchers and to our listeners. I hope this has been really informative, no, so far. So we have known about Luis' background, the things about the companies that he was part of, and and also the initiatives about and against scams. So this is the part 3 of our webcast, and medyo Q&A na to, Luis, no, parang fireside chat, no? So magtatanong ako sa iyo ng mga recent developments sa crypto landscape, and we just wanted your opinion on it, no? So
Yep.
the first one is CBDCs, so central bank digital currencies. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had this article, I think this week, no, where BDO of all banks actually participated in a CBDC pilot. No? So what do you think of this? Itong balitang ito, Luis. What do you think of CBDCs in general?
Yeah, I'm not really a fan. I think you already know my answer to this. I'm not a fan of CBDCs in general. I think that paatras yun, in the sense that they're taking blockchain technology that was, originally intended to remove control from central banks, and they're kind of taking it and then bring it back to the central banks. And I don't think we need more of that. I think that if you review the standard smart contract on these things, I actually don't know. By the way, I haven't read the. Is there a smart contract for? Wala pa, no? They haven't published anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there's
for
a
the
report. Biglang report lang.
yeah, okay, right. Yeah, but they didn't no, they should have open sourced the smart contract so people could see it beforehand. But generally speaking, these will have features for freezing accounts, for freezing tokens, for banning certain addresses, blacklisting, things like that. Which is kind of, I don't know, against the mission and the ethos of original Bitcoin. Um, Unfortunately, you know, a central bank who wants to, kind of issue a currency like this, syempre hahanapin nila yung mga ways kung paano nila i-freeze yung mga accounts. That's kind of part of the feature set that they require in order for regulators to even let them do that. I think we saw that very recently with the PayPal stablecoin, yung Pi USD. They also have features for freezing the accounts of the users and freezing the tokens and blacklisting and things like that. Um, I am generally speaking, I'm generally against that. I don't think we need more of that. I think the world already has enough of that. I think that anytime that we use digital wallets, mobile money, we are already, uh, in a platform where, if Gcash doesn't like the way that we use their platform, they can freeze us. If Union Bank or BD or any of these banks, no, they can freeze our accounts. They can ask us to close our account, all of those things. I mean, Jesus, like like I got a my Coins PH account was closed, right? Like I'm not even sure what to make of that. But that happened to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what to do about that. So anyway, the point is that we have enough of this centralized stuff already. We don't need more CBDCs. I think that I'm gonna continue advocating for free floating cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. I think that I advocate for Tether mostly because it's better than holding Philippine peso. But generally speaking, Tether and USDC and any other stablecoin naman, lahat sila may features and smart contracts nila where they can actually freeze their users' accounts. Um, so that's just kind of the way it is, no. So in general, I always like, if you want to really get into crypto in a way that is meaningful, then I would still stick with Bitcoin. And that's kind of it.
Alright, follow up lang, no? Ito yung kasi yung question ni Zayton Cancher na parang, do you think CBDCs will be adopted in our country?
Yeah,
So, at ito yung
yeah,
takes natin, eh. But what do you think? Do you think it will be adopted
yeah, yeah.
eventually, or
Yeah. That's inevitable. Yun, inevitable. That's like asking if mobile money will ever be adopted in the Philippines.
I think?
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll just happen. I think that that's where the world is going. So, I guess the reason why I'm so strongly against it is because I know that it's inevitable, and I want to spend all of my energy showing people what the alternatives are, because they don't need my help to try to get CBDCs to be adopted in the Philippines. That's just gonna happen. In fact, you could do it very, very quickly because there's already what, 70 plus million Filipinos using GCash. Yung underlying pesos nun, pwede mong gawing CBDC eh. In which case, wala na. That's basically the entire country kind of using this stuff. No, it becomes quite easy. If the population is already using mobile money, switching over to CBDCs becomes a lot more simple. Um, but anyway, yeah. So I think that's inevitable. They are not going to bother collaborating with the crypto communities. I think I saw that in the question,
Mm-mm.
because they don't need to. They don't need to. I mean, it's coming from the central bank. They don't need the collaboration of the crypto community in order for this stuff to get adopted. They can legislate it. Um, and that's the problem with any of this stuff. No, the fact that they can make it a rule of law, they can kind of like in the same way na yung mga 20 peso bills na luma na, they can tell you that, okay, after a certain year, we are no longer going to be accepting this style of 20 pesos. They can totally do that. They can also do, you've got 2 years from now where you must move all of your pesos into CBDCs. They could totally do that as well. What did they do with the SIM card law? Di ba na parang they gave us a couple of years where ano parang you have to KYC with your SIM card by this time, otherwise your SIM card stops working, right? So there's all sorts of things that they can do to kind of just put us in a position where we don't have a choice. So again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't comply with the law. I think that being a law-abiding citizen is good, but I think you should acquaint yourself with the alternatives. So I guess I'll kind of leave it at that. No? Just be familiar with what the alternatives are, because I feel like CBDCs are going to be very very everywhere quite soon. I really think that's inevitable.
All right. Thank you, Luis, for your thoughts on CBDCs. And the next one is from CBDCs, we go to BASP, or the Asset Service Providers, or the Virtual Licensing Exchange. So one of the things that I mean, for our listeners, no, parang Luis also contributed to BitPinas from time to time. And you mentioned in a year in review before that you don't think the vast license will be as important at some point in the future. But that
Mm.
was 2018, no? And but here we are now,
Right.
and we
Yeah.
have 19 exchanges. And
Yeah.
if I don't know if I think ganun pa rin, nakasarado pa rin yung licensing applications. So there are many, alam naman natin, there are many cryptocurrency exchanges that are in the country that are, that don't have that particular license. No? So I guess my question
Mm.
here is, what do you think of this current situation na parang naka-hold up ang licensing ng mga BAS? So
Yeah.
what do you
Yeah.
think?
Mm. Well, I mean, the reason why they did that naman was kasi hindi naman ginagamit lahat ng licensees eh. So, we have 19 license holders, but how many crypto companies are you guys even aware of that are active? So, we can name them, right? So, CoinsPH, PDAX, Moneybees, help
Si
me out
Blue.
here. Ano pa?
Si Blue.
Bloom is still active. Yes, yeah, of course.
And then
Ano
Maya.
pa?
Maya.
Maya, yeah, okay.
I'm not sure na with the rest are I think na DA5 are not yet active, I think. Parang ganun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's count DA5. Sure. I think that's fair. So six. So okay, so we've named six out of the 19. The reason why there is no need for new licenses right now is because the vast majority of license holders, hindi naman sila active companies eh. Uh, I'm pretty sure most of them are looking for buyers. They're looking for someone who can just buy the license from them or buy the entire company from them. I don't think that you know the VASP license became very, very uh, valuable in the Philippines noong 2021. Eh. And that was mostly because we were seeing, ridiculous record numbers of Filipinos getting into crypto for the first time. It was mostly because of Axie Infinity, and because of that, during that year, it seemed like the VASP license was really valuable. But then it turns out na, a lot of that Axie related activity has kind of died down. And then the crypto market itself has kind of gone into this holding pattern where, there's not a lot of activity right now locally. Um, so the VASP license again is not as valuable as it used to be. I don't think there's any need to issue more of them. Like it feels like you could probably just buy one from any of the companies that are currently dormant. um, do I think that they're important? The licenses themselves? I mean, if you want to be a legitimate crypto exchange in any country, you have to have some kind of license. I think that this is a lesson that Binance is learning very, very emphatically these days, no? Na ano, parang hindi na gumagana yung strategy na ano na you're just run your business and then apologize later. That doesn't work anymore because I guess yeah, Binance is learning that uh, it it's too late now for them to try to get the licenses that they're asking for because parang bad shot na sila sa ano sa regulators. And that was kind of unfortunate, but that's kind of where the whole company is right now.
Alright, I think nabanggit mo nga yung sa Axie, no? So, ito naman yung sa Web3 games. And Luis, I think you're aware na medyo hindi pa rin maganda yung connotation with
Hmm.
what happened, and in spite of the efforts of YGG, I mean blockchain space, and many other even the mga communities natin, no? So
Mhm.
paano kaya itong Web3 games? What is your opinion on this one? It will still grow? Anong opinion mo dito?
I mean, we know for a fact that so when I say we, I mean YGG. No, we know for a fact there are many Web3 games currently in development. We know that there are some of those Web3 games that are actually coming from very well-known game developers, not startups, not like Sky Mavis. Their very first product was Axie Infinity, and yung background nila was CryptoKitties. They weren't like
Mhm.
professional, well-known, very well-established game development house. No, they're not. They weren't like that. Um, we know that there are a lot of games in the pipeline that is going to be uh, launched within the next 6 to 12 months that are coming from well-known studios. Zynga, I guess, is the most well-known one. They were the makers of Farmville, and I've forgotten. I wonder if anyone in the chat can name the game that Zynga announced na Web3. But anyway, yeah. So that's an example of one that's quite well known. The other one that I can think of off the top of my head is the people that made Eve Online is making a Web3 game. Eve Online is a space combat game. It's about 10 years old. So these guys are very very deeply acquainted in how to make games that last a long time. So I think that there will definitely be better games out there. I think we've already seen a few that are pretty good. Um, but I think that there's still a lot to prove. The thing about Axie Infinity, and I guess like I, I don't want to say that I told anyone about this. It was more like I identified this problem even back when I was first writing about Axie Infinity na hindi sustainable yung reward model nila with SLP. Um, and I kind of said that in the very first article that I wrote about Axie Infinity. Um, and it took about a year and a half before eventually the whole thing kind of, didn't work out all that well na nga. Um, but they're still around. They're still around. They're still making games. They have an entire ecosystem of games. Um, but even Axie Infinity itself is having a hard time replicating the success of their first game. So I guess that tells you two things. One is that making good games are hard. I think we already knew that. But yeah, so that bears repeating lang. Making good games is hard. Making sustainable tokenomics is hard. So you put those two together, that is a very big challenge for any small company. And that's why, with kind of the bigger firms that are going to launch titles later on in the year, um, I feel like hindi pa tapos yung kwento na to. Like we don't know the ending yet. We are definitely at the point where there's a lot of people that are disillusioned though. Um, but the good news is that there's a lot of smart people out there that are still looking for solutions. And I think that eventually someone will crack this problem naman eh. It's really the tokenomics side that's quite we haven't really found a good solution for that yet. I think we already know what a good game looks like, but we've not really figured out what a sustainable tokenomics model is like for a Web3 game. Parang I've only seen promising solutions. I haven't seen anything that is actually like long-term sustainable. And I guess yung definition of long-term is like many years, no, not many months. So wala pa tayo doon, at least as far as I know.
All right. So this has been a really interesting discussion, no? And we are now on our last part. No? Actually, ito na yung pinaka-last na lang, Luis. There are some questions in the chat. Siguro, if we can just chat them out quick. Na-scam na ba ang isang Luis Buenaventura? Have you ever been scammed? Na ano?
Well, I mean, I bought Luna. Does that count? I bought Luna. I bought Luna at the peak. I think it was $130 or something like that. It was the most. ridiculous drop of my life kasi I think it was the following week na nag-crash yung Luna. So kakabili ko lang and then I think I spent, and I'll be kind of open with this now because I like to remind myself of this mistake. I think I spent $1,500 on that buy, no. So $1,500 was barely enough to buy 15 Luna because ang mahal niya at the time, you know. And then within that 1 or 2 week period, I think it dropped all the way to like, what is it now, 10 cents or something like that. It's like, okay, so hindi scam yun, not technically, but I guess I learned a lesson na parang, yeah, I didn't do any research on that one. I just bought it because I saw everyone was buying it. Um, I'm trying to think if there's any other kind of. Oh, and I know I lost money during the FTX collapse. Not in FTX itself. I lost money in one of its subsidiaries called BlockFi. Um, so I had some of my savings there kasi maganda yung interest rates nila eh. And then it turns out that BlockFi was keeping their customer funds with
Mhm.
FTX. I did not realize that. So yeah, so when FTX collapsed, BlockFi went bankrupt. So right now, I'm still kind of waiting for news about yung bankruptcy proceedings ng BlockFi. Yeah, yun. Neither of those two things are technically scams, I guess. They're both. Actually, yeah. Sorry. I'm just gonna do like one very quick this is very important because we have this tendency as Pinoys na anytime na nag-invest tayo tapos nalugi, we call that thing a scam. That's not always true eh. Sometimes when you put money into a company, it's not that company is not there to steal your money. They just failed. It's possible that a company is completely legit, but they just fail. And I guess in the case of uh, hmm, in the case of FTX, it was definitely a scam po pala. I guess in the case of BlockFi, BlockFi did not enter
Yes.
into business to try to steal people's money. They just made bad decisions, and unfortunately, nadamay lahat ng pera ng customers nila, including mine. So I guess that's what I want to say here. We need to be more careful about the way we use the word scam. Just because you lost money on something does not make it a scam. It just could mean that it failed. The business failed. Businesses fail all the time. 99% of businesses that are founded fail. Only 1% of businesses make it to their first year. So, I mean, I don't know if those are encouraging statistics. Probably not, but that's reality.
All right. Thank you, Luis. No? And any projects na parang, are you looking at any projects na nakikita that you are eyeing? So, eyeing ka. So, do you have any projects in mind na
Oh.
parang nakikita mo right now?
I need to pass on this one because I am looking at a bunch of things, but I wanna be careful about mentioning any projects because I'm still in the homework phase. Um, if I mention a project anytime, it will be because I know at least
Mhm.
I know enough about it. But I'd rather not Muna for now. I just want to be careful because like I don't want people to just jump onto like Binance futures and look for it and that's betting on
Oh,
it.
kasi
Like uh
parang sabi to ni Luis sa webcast, no?
Yeah,
Ganun.
yeah. So okay, here I'll share a project that I'm really interested in. Bitcoins.
Bitcoin. Sabi lang. So yeah, this has been really interesting, Luis, and we could go on though. I mean, but in if everyone's time, really thank you so much for this for this opportunity, for this time that you shared with us in this webcast, and hopefully we can do it again at some point, no, in the future when now that you have more
Yeah.
free time. So, but yeah, if there's any final words that you can say, where can people find you, and siguro yung quick lang now, immediately what are you going to do next that people can look forward to.
Yeah. So before that, I want to say hi to a couple of people in the chat that I just noticed right now. So Resistance Trader, hello. Coach Eman, hello. These are the guys that kind of
Mhm.
I've been on their shows. They've been on my shows, and I really like that. Henry from Baguio, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other names na hindi ko na scroll up yung comments right now, but thanks guys so much for watching. I was kind of surprised when I saw how many people were viewing right now. I really appreciate it. I want to continue making myself useful to the community. And now that I've got a lot of free time, I guess baka magsawa pa kayo because sobrang dami kong gagawin. I hope that I'll be able to do more of the reels, but I also want to get back to writing more of the essays because I think the essays are kind of so the reels are a good way for you to get like a bite-sized amount of information very quickly. 90 seconds, I give you like a summary of I don't know, whatever, what is happening with Binance and SEC, for example. Yeah, kayang i-compress yun into 90 seconds. Eh. But I think that a lot of the details that we really want to sink our teeth into, it needs to be much longer than that. So I don't know if I'll do long form videos, but I definitely will do long form writing. So if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to Cryptoday. So that's cryptoday.live. And then if you aren't already following me on Facebook, it's just fb.com/hello Luis. This was great. This was really fun, Mike. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I will happily join you again. Uh, you should invite me when you are interviewing a suspected scammer. And I'll be the one
Yes.
to ask the hard questions.
Okay. So
Should
ayun,
definitely
maraming
do that.
salamat. Maraming salamat, Luis, and maraming salamat sa ating mga commenters. Nakikita ko pa yung ating mga colleagues dito, Aldrin, Nicolo. Maraming salamat sa mga nandito ngayon sa webcast. This is a 1 hour and 30 minute show. Maraming salamat for staying. This is the BitPinas Webcast. Continue to stay curious, stay away from scams. Follow Luis, follow BitPinas, follow BitShares. Maraming salamat again and see you soon. See you next week. Or, yeah, see you. Salamat.